Good morning. Welcome to the Stronger Than You Think podcast. I'm super excited to share with you today the Moana Principle or the Moana theory. So let me just start off by saying, if you're watching this, I'm not going to worry about exactly where my camera is on my phone, because if you want to watch a video, like here I am, if you want to listen while you're on a walk or while you're doing something, you don't have to watch. Either way, I'm really excited about this theory. So once upon a time in a land far away, we moved to Florida. And we moved to Florida because why not? We were living in New York at the time, and we were renting. When we first moved there, we were renting, and we found this incredible house that was an incredible deal. It was a massive house. It was amazing. So there was no reason to buy something when we were like in a really good place in our home. So we stayed there. 6 years went by after 2020, after all sorts of other things that you may or may not know about us. If you don't, I'll share maybe at some point. It's also part of my story. And so the landlord decided that he wanted to sell the house. He said he'd sell it to us for $1 million. And we'd lived there 6 years, so we knew the problems, we knew the ups and the downs of the house. And we said, no, that's not what we're gonna pay unless you fix all these things. And he's like, nope. And he said, or I can double your rent. We were like, well, doubling our rent is not an option for us. He said, or you can move. So my husband and I prayed, and we felt very much like we could finally make the move to Florida, which we love. So fast forward, we're watching fireworks. And at Disney, if you have never been to the fireworks, that's fine. I love fireworks because I came from a time when fireworks were one, and then, they had to make another one, so 30 minutes later, another firework would go off. And I just thought it was the most magical thing in the world. In fact, it prompted me to ask a question when I think I was 5 or 6 years old of, does life ever end? So fireworks have always been thought-provoking for me. So anyways, we're watching the fireworks, and in pure, true Disney style and fashion, you get to watch the fun part. They project a movie essentially on the castle with all this music in the background. And, initially it's like all the fun stuff, and then the hero faces some sort of challenge. Then all the bad guys come out. And then you watch them fall and struggle and suffer and feel like giving up. And when we had first moved here, I really was like feeling that. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I knew it was the right thing to do, and it was awesome, it was amazing. But like, I am an entrepreneur. I have my own business. I have ever since I graduated massage school for almost 25 years. And then the energy work part of it for about 13 years. And I've recently changed my business model and doing things a little bit different. And I absolutely love it. But at that point I was feeling kind of like, oh, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? Different things like that. This is where the Moana Principle comes in. I don't know if you've seen Moana, if you like Moana, if you care about Moana. It doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you the words. So let me give you the background of her. So in her village, the oldest child of the chief then becomes the chief on the island. And they stay there on that island, and that's like the whole premise, is that they don't leave the island. Everything they need is on the island. And yet she's being called out to sea because she loves the sea. She also loves the island. And she's feeling really, really torn, right, into true Disney fashion, and really in true any movie that we enjoy watching fashion. Typically we don't watch a movie that's just super easy, that the hero has no problems, the hero has no struggles, because that would be very, very silly, wouldn't it? It would make it too easy. And so anyway, so watching this, but I'm listening to this, so I watch Moana. And so at this part of the movie, she's in the middle of the ocean. She's feeling hopeless and lost. Maui, her guide, the god, has gone off. It's too hard. He's done. So she's literally in the middle of the South Pacific alone on a raft, feeling hopeless. And, you know, the way the music is and the way the visuals are, you know, the fireworks at this point are no longer fireworking. And you can just feel, it's palpable, her breath, where she just drops down on one knee on the raft and is just out of breath and exhausted and frustrated and hopeless and helpless and overwhelmed. And have you ever felt that way? And of course, we have all been there, maybe not in the middle of the South Pacific on a raft alone, but we felt like we're in the middle of somewhere on something, going through it all by ourselves. And so that really, really spoke to me. And then she's really frustrated, and all of a sudden her grandmother shows up in bioluminescent as a stingray. And or even in a vision, she sees her there, and she's talking to her and talking about how frustrated she is and overwhelmed and worried. And then her grandma starts singing to her. And I don't know about you, but I really resonate with all the grandmas and the old ladies in the film. Like, I love Mama Odie. I love Moana's grandma, like the wise, older. I just love them. So she starts talking to her, and, you know, Moana is essentially just saying, I'm so frustrated and I don't know what to do. And I'm a failure. And, you know, you've been there. You understand. You know what it's like. And so the grandma says, sometimes the world seems against you. The journey may leave a scar, but scars will heal and reveal just where you are. So then Moana starts to think, okay, so I've been through some hard stuff, and and I've got some scars, and the entire world seems against me. I'm literally in the middle of the South Pacific on a raft. I mean, I've been on a boat in a lake before when it gets choppy, and that's scary. So the middle of the South Pacific on a raft is like, holy cow, so scary. And so then the music starts to build, and she's like, okay, so who am I? And she says, well, I'm a girl who loves the island, and I'm a girl who loves the sea. This is who I am. This is what I like. This is what I want. So she starts to discover out loud who she is. And then she says, well, I've delivered us to where we are. And so here I am. Like, I'm not a failure. I've traveled across the sea. I've done this. I have gotten us here to where I am. So then she starts sort of getting pumped up about, like, wait a minute, look at what I have done. And then all of a sudden, that gives her the strength and the ability to look back and be like, well, so when I started this journey, I didn't know which way was north. I didn't know which way was what. At one point, Maui says, put your hand in the water. If it gets warm, you know you're going the right direction. She's like, oh, it's warm, and looks up, and, you know, Maui's a dude. So anyways, it wasn't exactly because they were going the right direction. Let's just say that the water got warm. So the Moana Principle is this. Often we are looking forward at where we want to go. Dan Kennedy calls it the gap in the gain principle. We're looking forward at our goals. We're looking forward to what we want, what we hope, what we desire. And that is a beautiful, fantastic, wonderful thing. Now, if that's all we're ever looking at as humans, we tend to never get there. We tend to always keep chasing, always keep looking, always keep traveling. And our journey gets farther and farther in, and yet our destination gets farther and farther away. Have you ever wanted to lose, I just want to lose 5 pounds. So you lose 5 pounds and then you just want to lose 10. Or you're just going to try to eat healthy for this meal, and you do, so then it's for this week, or then it's for this month, and then you have a candy bar and it's all for naught and everything's lost, and so it's all gone. We tend to do that. We tend to only look at our goal without realizing how far we've come. Moana says, I've delivered us to where we are. I have gotten me this far. All of a sudden, she's like, oh, I crossed the sea. I didn't die. I learned how to travel. So the Moana Principle is looking at how far you have come to encourage you to keep going on your journey, to realize that there is a gain that you have made. You have had success. Yes, sometimes the world seems against you and the journey may leave a scar, but scars will heal and reveal just where you are. Look at where you are. Look at how far you've come. Literally look behind you. Literally turn around. How about a month ago? How about a week ago? You know, I remember when Wes and I were living in Utah, driving to Arizona into the warmth. It was negative whatever in our car, and we were driving to Arizona to the warmth, and we would dream about living in Texas and about how warm it would be. And guess what? We lived in Texas. Yeah. I remember when we were living in New York, and if you live in New York, you have to move to Florida. It's kind of the rules, but it's once you retire, right? It's once you're old. That was our goal. That was our dream. We're here. Look at how far we've come. Fine, Sarah, you can say that it's really easy. You know what? It hasn't, though. I'm just going to speak openly and honestly. I have been through stuff. Wes has been through stuff. Very recently, we've been through cancer. Very recently, we've been through trauma. We've been through disappointment and abandonment and betrayal. We've been through it. And yeah, the journey leaves a scar. But the scars heal. And they reveal where we are. They reveal who we are. They reveal what we've become. So instead of looking at the damage that has been caused, staring at the scars, regretting and being angry about those scars, look at what they reveal about you. When we look at Wes's belly from his prostate cancer surgery, I love those scars because we are closer and better now than we've ever been, because it's proof of life. That isn't always the case. Other scars aren't proof of life. Other scars don't reveal that. They reveal something else about your character. When I was teaching an early morning church class many years ago, many, I guess now, right? Back in New York, I think it was 6 or 7 years ago. The class started at 4:50 in the morning, before 5 a.m. So that means I had to leave my house about 4:40. I was teaching 3 of my own children at the time, and I never made them go. I encouraged them, and I would wake them and give them the opportunity, and when it was time to go, I would leave. There was one period of time where for 2 weeks straight, I showed up at the church to teach the class, and nobody came. Nobody came. I talked to my supervisor, and he's like, don't keep preparing a new lesson. Just let it go. It's okay. You've already prepared. You're all good. I was like, no, but my part is to prepare. My part is to become closer to God so that I can help others. That was hard. The world seemed against me. I was waking up super early. My husband was in school. I was working my own business. It was a lot. And yet it left a scar on me. And the scar that it left was learning about my own character. What did I do in those circumstances? What did I choose? And I chose to continue to teach. I chose to show up. I chose to continue to invite my children as well as others to come. And they did, and I never had that happen again. And I taught that early morning class for 5 years. I've been teaching a nighttime class now for just under 2. I've not had that happen again. It revealed where I was. It revealed to me what was going on in my life. The Moana Principle challenges you to do that, to look at how far you've come, what you've learned, what those scars reveal about you. Because the world is going to seem against you. The journey is going to leave a scar. It just is. That's how all of this works. But those scars heal, and they reveal to us who we are. So in that principle, we can move forward. We can be stronger. We can overcome because we have before. When we turn around and look how far we've come, look what we've experienced, and see where we are now, we can gain strength. We can gain knowledge, we can gain hope, we can find out who we truly are. So today, in this week of Thanksgiving, if you're here in the States, if you're not in the States, it can be a week of gratitude anyways. Any week can be a week of gratitude. Any week. So if you're listening to this in another day besides today, which is the Saturday before Thanksgiving, show gratitude this week. Find out who you are. Look at how far you've come. Something we don't talk about very often is that before you graduate high school, you haven't ever graduated high school. You never have. But that's the goal. That's where you're fixed on. And it's actually pretty easy to look back and see how far we've come. Maybe not as the person who's a senior in high school or a junior, or even a sophomore, but everyone around you reminds you. You've made it 10 years, there's only 2 left. So in that, we teach the Moana Principle over and over and over and over. Look how far you've come. You only have this left. Don't quit now, you've got it. And then after high school, everybody's like, forget it. Then we think we have to know everything before we do anything. And that's not how it is. We didn't know we could do it until we did it when we didn't know how to do it. Until we got those scars. Until we were able to understand and learn, and it was revealed to us where we were, who we are, and how far we've come. As you listen to this podcast, as you watch this podcast, remember how much stronger you are than you think. Right now, if you're going through something, which is probably almost everyone, unless you are lucky enough to have a season of rest, you're going through something. Whether it's big, whether it's small, maybe you're climbing out on the other side. Maybe you feel like you're in the middle of the South Pacific on a raft at night, in the dark, all alone, wishing for a crazy, insane vision of a grandmother who's passed away. Regardless of where you are, this Moana Principle applies. So I challenge you to apply it in your life. Look at how far you've come. Look at your scars and see what it reveals about you, about who you are, about where you are, about how far you've come, and how much further you will be able to go because of what you have learned and experienced. One of my favorite quotes, and I don't even know who it's by. Maybe it's a saying, I'm not sure. But it goes like this. God didn't bring you this far to just bring you this far. Yesterday, I was watching a thing by Oprah who said, we challenge people to dream their wildest dreams and mail them into us. She said she was sadly disappointed because so many, their wildest dream was to shake her hand. So they granted it. And others, it was to go on an African safari, and they granted that. And so the people who dreamt small were disappointed and felt like they'd been ripped off. And she said that's part of the challenge. The challenge is to dream bigger. She said, put down your wildest dreams. And the only person that held them back in their wildest dreams was them. The only person holding us back in our wildest dreams is us. Challenge me if you want. Send me a message. Tell me I'm wrong. Do it. Did you graduate high school? Did you get a job? Have you accomplished things that you thought were impossible because you put your mind to it? Are you holding yourself back? I call it the Moana Principle. Sometimes the world seems against you. The journey may leave a scar, but scars will heal and reveal just where you are, how far you've come, how incredible your journey has been, even with the scars, even with the disappointments, even with the sadness, even with the betrayal and the hopelessness and the despair. There is hope. If you're looking for more hope, if you're tired of feeling hopeless, helpless, like a failure, reach out to me. That's what I do all day long. I help people to find hope. I release things in their body so that they can feel better, so they can feel hopeful, more, they can feel lighter, they can feel like they can survive and have success. And it's absolutely incredible. I'm honored to be able to do this. I love it so incredibly much. Because what we look at is your scars, and we look at what they reveal about you and how far you've come because of them. And it's incredible because I walk with you and we work together through your experiences, and it's an absolute honor. As we're winding down on this Stronger Than You Think podcast, I want you to remember that you are stronger than you think. You have made it this far, and you haven't only made it this far to make it this far. You've made it this far so that you can keep going, so that you can soar, so that you can live your wildest dreams. If you continue to focus on the can't, then you're right. If you focus on the can, then you're right. You've heard the saying, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. So let's believe you can. The Moana Principle. Look at how far you've come. Look at your scars and let them reveal just where you are. Remember, I'm walking with you. Have the best day. Love you. Bye.